Hi everyone, and happy Mother's Day for all the moms out there. I'm just going to show you how to do a very quick Mother's Day card, but the technique I'm going to use, you can obviously use for anything you like. You can even do pictures with it. I'm going to show you how to do watercoloring with your koi brushes. You can do that with any water-soluble brush pen, so if you happen to have Tombows or anything else that's water-soluble, then the same technique would be suitable for those. Okay, so the materials that we're going to use are the koi pens. We're going to use a water brush, a Tombow, the little Tombow, but the soft tip. So you get the hard tip and the soft tip. I'm going to use the soft tip, but it's the small Tombow brush. Also, you would need pencil, ruler, and eraser. So those are just for drawing lines. So the first thing that you would do is you would do your base word in grey. I'm going to do a similar technique to the one I used for my happy wedding anniversary card. I didn't do a video for this, but I did post it on Facebook, so some of you may have seen it. And the watercolor look is achieved by using the koi pens and then washing over it with water, and I'm going to use the water brush for that. So the water brush is like this, and it has soft bristles, flexible bristles, just like a paintbrush, except that the water is inside the actual brush. You can just use a normal paintbrush if you like. So that's my sample card, and I'm going to do my actual card here. What I've already done is drawn the lines top and bottom, and since then erased them. I've written out the light grey happy, which is my base, using the light cool grey koi pen, and that is just so that you've got a base word to work over and you're not working over pencil. And on the first 4 letters, I've already added the colors. So it's just to speed up the video, otherwise we'd be here all day. So the colors that I've used are the green, the blue, the iris, and the pink. I've kept the blue and the green together on the certain letters, and then the pinks and the blue together on other letters. The pink and the green, or pinks and the green, don't really mix very well, and you end up with almost dirty brownish sort of patches. So I try and keep the green just with the blue. Okay, so I'm going to do the very last letter as a sample for you, and it's just so that you can see how the technique works. Just erase that line a bit better. You always want to make sure that all your pencil lines are erased, because once you put the water-based ink over it, it seals the pencil onto the page. You don't want to have that happening, and you can't erase it afterwards. So with this, what I would have done on the other letters is put the ink down, and I'm just coloring in. I'm literally just laying down ink and not thinking too much about how perfect it is. If your pens are not perfect on the ends anymore, and they don't have their nice points, or you feel that you're not so good at your brush lettering technique yet, then this is a great technique, because all you're doing is you're doing blocky capital letters. So I've done those two, mixed it a little bit in the middle, and what I'm going to do now is take the water brush, have a little bit of toilet paper or tissue ready just to wipe off. I'm going to make sure that there is water coming through the bristles, and also make sure that there's no pink left on your brush. So my previous letter had pinks in it. Wipe those off, otherwise you end up putting the pink into the green, and as I said earlier, it doesn't really mix well. So you make sure that it's wet, just feel that on your finger and go through the middle. I'm first blending where the colors are actually touching each other, and then I'm blending up into the green and across here. So this is a blending technique, but it's using the water brush instead of an actual blender pen. The blender pens are great, but it's not going to give you the watercolor look, so this is just a different technique to the blender pen. I'm going down, and if you happen to go a little bit out of the lines, it's fine. Don't be too worried about that. You're wanting a watercolor look, so if you have a slightly soft fuzzy line, it's also fine. You can see on these ones I've got little bits of little imperfections and tied lines, which is actually quite nice. It looks quite pretty on the letters. So that is the Y. I've done that fairly quickly because there wasn't a lot of complicated color matches. If you look at these two here, the A and the P, on the A, I've actually used the same blue that I used on the H. I've just blended the iris over it, so it gives it a more purpley look. The same as on the P, the blue has gone a little bit darker. If you feel like you want to add more of the turquoise blue, it's very hard to do it once you've blended the pink into it. So then it's better just to rather have a bigger stripe of blue or patch of blue, and then not to blend the other colors into it. So I'm quite happy with how that looks, and these are ones that I did do earlier, so they are dry. Make sure that your water is completely dry. So when I say that, Don't go and touch it to check it. Just put it in the sun or leave it for a while and make sure that it's dry. I did one earlier for the video and I didn't make sure it was dry. And as you can see, very sadly, I had patches where the water actually wasn't dry. And I touched it. I had a scrap piece which I wanted to just use for sizing. And I touched it with the paper. So this one that I've done now is, except for the Y, it's pretty much dry. So here's my scrap piece that I'd used earlier on the one that I messed up. And I just wrote out the word Mother's Day on a scrap piece just to get my letter sizing. And now I'm going to do it onto my actual card. So I've got my lines drawn. You can see here there are top and bottom line, base line and a top line for both my words. And the reason I wrote it out in scrap is so that I could just see if I put this on here, more or less where to start. So I wanted the word mothers to work across there and the word day to be underneath there. So I'm going to start over here. If you're not comfortable with just writing, you would do it in pencil first. The black Tombow pens don't, there's no problem with writing over pencil, so don't stress about that. So I'm going to write this, and I'm just going to do it in a nice, easy brush lettering style. The nice thing about working in the black is that if you happen to mess something up, you don't have a line that's quite thick enough, you can always go back with a fine liner afterwards and fix that up. The R, you can stop there, have a little break, and then come down and then up into your S. And then the D, I'm going to do just a nice simple one. This you can also do as fake calligraphy if you're not quite comfortable to do it as brush lettering. Once you finish with that and your wording is dry, you can also then add a little bit of fine liner. You can outline your letters, your big letters. You can add little hearts onto it. You can do all sorts of things to make it look quite pretty. So I'm going to just try and add a little bit of fine liner. I just want to grab my fine liner there. And I'm using a size 1. And what I'm going to do is add a couple of little hearts around here, just small little hearts. Don't overthink too much, just add a few randomly. Make sure that your lettering is dry first. I'm not checking that because I just want to do it for the video. I would normally just leave it and come back and do that afterwards. My hearts are not perfect either. You're just wanting these cute little hand-drawn hearts. A couple of those. You can add a few little silver and gold dots if you want. You can add anything you like. You can also do your outlining. What I would suggest you do with the outlining is if you're going to go away from the letter, so not draw it right next to the letter, do it in pencil first. So then you can always trace over your pencil line. If you look at the Happy Wedding Anniversary one that I did, you'll see here where I've got the outline. And what I did is I just set it next to, or not next to, but like a little bit of a space away from the word, and it just gives it a slight 3D look. Looks like the letters are standing up slightly. So you could do a look like that, and it's a very simple, easy way of making your word look pretty, your card look pretty. Once you've finished, then you'd erase your pencil lines. Again, make sure everything's dry. And then that's it. You are ready to go to your Mother's Day lunch and impress your mom. Thanks, guys. Hope you have a lovely day, and I will catch you next time.